Okay. Hello. Good evening, students. Can you all hear me? Am I visible? Am I audible? Right. So after 339 days, UPSC finally brought the answer keys that was long awaited, and this day has been full of surprises.
Definitely.
And I don't know how many times UPSC does this, but dropping three questions,
It's very huge.
it's pretty huge, right? So there are multiple ways to look at it, right? Dropping UPSC itself, dropping three questions from the answer keys. That's huge. Secondly, there are literally certain questions that we can tell that UPSC got wrong. I mean,
Definitely.
look at the question of, say, finance minister itself.
Directly, yeah.
I mean, who in the correct mind would not
Definitely.
believe that finance minister would present a budget on the behalf of prime minister?
Prime
It's
Minister.
clearly president, right? I mean, it's very basic quality. So I don't know here. How do you ask a constitutional body like UPSC to justify these errors? So one is, of course, the three questions that they dropped themselves. There are few questions that we can clearly see that they have gotten it wrong, and of course the last part is, so when we brought our answer keys, we also identified that there were certain controversial questions.
Definitely.
And these were based on student feedback,
Yes,
right? And we also brought our answer keys, and of course we also got few questions wrong.
Definitely.
We have no shame in admitting that, and we'll be very transparent with you in this, that we also got certain questions wrong, and that is the part. But UPSC's blunder, of course, has to be also questioned with
Definitely.
respect to the body and the structure it holds, right? So of course, I think Srijay, you can take over from here.
Sure.
You can tell them about the three questions
Definitely.
that UPSC dropped, the controversial question that we identified,
Yeah.
and the blunders that UPSC
have made.
directly has made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give the floor to you, Srijay. I'll join you back.
Thank you.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. I know most of you will be disheartened if you have lost by 2 marks, 3 marks. This happens even in 2022, 2020, UPSC have, dropped down certain questions. I guess in 2022, UPSC dropped down around 2 questions. But then this is, I guess, the first time that UPSC is actually dropping on 3 questions, which is actually very significant. UPSC shouldn't actually do that. There's a number of vetting processes. There is a lot of researchers, academicians behind it, and it shouldn't happen in the real case. So in this session, as Sakir sir directly pointed out, we will be first discussing the first 3 questions that UPSC dropped down, and certain questions why we feel that UPSC answer key is wrong. We'll also be going through some of the controversial questions and the UPSC answer key and the Civilsdaily answer key as well. And finally, we'll also be going through only one question wherein our official answer key, the Civilsdaily answer key, has gone wrong. So I'll directly move to the questions wherein UPSC have dropped down. So the first one, I hope all of you can see the slides. Yeah. So the first one that UPSC have dropped down is the 20th question. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first question that UPSC have dropped down. Now, the question basically says that, one second. Okay. So the question basically deals with the Indian flying fox. Here, the statement one says that the Indian flying fox is placed under the vermin category in the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, that is something that we don't know. It can be placed or it cannot be placed. But then we can substantially say that the Indian flying fox feeds on the blood of other animals. Now, what is an Indian flying fox? Indian flying fox doesn't feed on the blood of other animals. So basically what does it do? It basically eats the flowers, the fruits. The Indian flying fox is basically the reason for the Nipah and all the other diseases that are happening throughout India. Okay, so it doesn't feed on the blood of other animals, rather it feeds on fruits as such. So definitely the second statement is incorrect. So we would have directly gotten answer C. But then why did UPSC cancel this question? This is because in the 1972 amendment, there were 6 schedules, right? And the 5th schedule was categorized as vermin category. Okay. So in the 1972 amendment, sorry, in the 1972 Wildlife Protection Act, there were 6 schedules, and the 5th one was under the vermin category. But then what happened when the 1972 Wildlife Protection Amendment, the Act was amended in 2019? What did the government do? The government basically replaced the vermin schedule. So the vermin schedule is actually not there, and they have basically replaced the 6 schedules into 4 schedules. Therefore, the vermin schedule is not there. So we are actually guessing that because the schedule of vermin is not there right now, UPSC have deleted this question. Okay, since the schedule is not there, it is actually the discretion of the central government to declare an animal as vermin, and currently the Indian flying fox is not declared as a vermin category. Okay, under the 1972 Act, it was declared under the vermin category, but then after the amendment, the Indian flying fox doesn't come under the vermin category, as the government has not explicitly mentioned it or declared it as the vermin category. So therefore, both the statements are correct. Since such an option is not there, UPSC have deleted this question. Now, the second one, what is the second one? The 52nd one. The 52nd one is actually a funny question, I'll tell you. Yeah, so the 52nd one. At the first glance, you won't see any fault here. Okay, so the syndicate loan, what does the syndicate loan mean? Syndicate loan basically means that a number of banks, they come together and they lend their loans to an entity. Okay, let's say there is a very big infrastructure project, let's say 1 crore. Not a single bank can afford to lend 1 lakh crores to an infrastructure entity, right, or an infrastructure builder. So what does they do? A number of banks come together and they lend to the infrastructure builder. So that is basically meant by syndicate lending. So syndicate lending basically spreads the risk of overall default, because what happens? ICICI Bank, SBI all come together and provide to a lender. So basically they are spreading the risk. So first statement is correct. Now the second one, the syndicate loan can be a fixed lump sum of funds but cannot be a credit line. Now what does that mean? What does a credit line mean? Credit line basically means that there is no fixed repayment period. Even if they default, they can withdraw their funds, or even the lenders can extend the time period. Let's say if they have to repay the loans in 2 years. Line of credit means it can be extended to 4 years or even 5 years. So there is a flexibility in the payment. So that is meant by credit line. In the case of syndicate lending, definitely there is a credit line possible, because it's a huge project. There might be environmental challenges related to the infrastructure project. Therefore, with regard to that, the time is usually extended. So therefore, second statement is also incorrect. Sorry, the second statement is incorrect. Therefore, the answer should have been C. Now, why did UPSC cancel this? It's basically because of the translation issues, okay? So if you look at the Hindi version of that, you can see that UPSC have used the word here, Ren Vyavastha. Now let me tell you, Ren Vyavastha is a very technical jargon. Okay, so someone who's not very fluent in Hindi might take it as correct. Okay, since it's a very technical jargon, we think that UPSC have dropped this question, and this is said by a number of academies as well. Okay, so since it's a very technical term, UPSC aspirants who are, who read the Hindi part, they might get confused. So that's why UPSC dropped this question. And finally, moving on to the 57th question. So what is 57? Okay, now this is a very simple mistake made by UPSC. So you all need to study about the different land revenue settlements, right? You need to study about the permanent settlement, that is the Zamindari. You need to study about Rayatwari, and also you need to study about Mahalwari. And one of the first basic thing that we study is that Cornwallis basically introduced the permanent land settlement, that is the Zamindari system. But then, what does the question actually tell us? With reference to the revenue collection by Cornwallis, so the question is actually dealing with Lord Cornwallis, who basically introduced the Zamindari system, right? But then, what is the first statement? The first statement actually talks about the Rayatwari settlement. Now imagine, does convalescence have any relation with right-of-way settlement? If UPC had not introduced the word convalescing system and with reference to revenue collection, consider the following statements was the question, this would have been correct. Since UPSC have introduced the word convalescence here and convalescence is not related to right-of-way settlement, the heading and the question basically does not have any relation. Okay, so that's why UPSC have cancelled this question. So I hope all of you understood. So these are the three main questions. Vermin was cancelled because the 2019 amendment doesn't have a schedule known as vermin. The second one, the Renvavastha. It's a very technical jargon word. Most of the Hindi aspirants might have confused it and made it incorrect. And the final one, which is the 57th one, convalescence doesn't have any relation with the right-of-way settlement. That's why UPSC cancelled this question. So this is a big mistake made by UPSC. UPSC usually doesn't do that. Now, here is the most important part. We have identified three important questions wherein with exact sources, with direct sources, we can claim that the official answer key provided by the UPSC is wrong. Okay, let me discuss those questions. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, so the first one would be the 36th question. The 36th question meant with the hydrogels, right? Yeah, 1 second. So we'll discuss the 36th question first. So in which of the following are hydrogels used? Now, what are hydrogels? Hydrogels, are basically used in ACs. Hydrogels are basically used in, giving drugs. Hydrogels are basically used in, it's a form of a liquid. It's a form of solid liquid, which mostly has, pharmaceutical applications. But then still, according to UPSC official answer key, the UPSC has given the answer as one only. But then, if you search at Google, you will get several research articles from Science Direct, from Lancet, saying that the hydrogels has significant applications in industrial lubricants. Okay, and also according to UPSC logic as well, UPSC can never say that not even a single percentage of hydrogels is not used by any of the mobile air conditioning systems in any country or even any village throughout the world. This is also a very, UPSC can never prove the second statement to be also correct. But then for the industrial lubricants, we have direct sources from Science Direct and all the other journals that I have mentioned before. So the correct answer should have been either 1, 2, 3, or it should have been 1 and 3 only. Okay, you can check it, you can Google it, you will find that the hydrogels are significantly used in lubricants. So therefore, the answer, as I already pointed out, should be either 1, 2, 3, or it should have been 1 and 3 only. Okay. Now, the third one, this is something that most of you have pointed out. I mean, most of you have gone through the question, which is the 85th question. So what does the 85th question say? Yeah, where is it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. You all know the answer to this question, right? Because it's an article from the Constitution. Article 112 and 113 articles deals with it. So what did UPSC say? With reference to union budget, consider the following statements. The Union Finance Minister, on behalf of Prime Minister, lays the annual financial statement before the Parliament. We all know that this statement is incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Because under Article 112, what does the Constitution say? The Union Prime Finance Minister, on behalf of the President or It's basically the president who lays the annual financial statement before both House of Parliament. So therefore, according to Article 112, this statement should obviously be incorrect. But then, what was the official answer key of UPSC? UPSC have said that both 1 and 2 is the correct answer, which definitely is not, because it's not Prime Minister, it should be the President who actually, on behalf of the Union Finance Minister, lays the annual financial statement before both the House of Parliament. So the answer should have been only 2, but then according to UPSC key, it was given both 1 and 2, which definitely is incorrect. Okay. Now the final one regarding the 89th question. Okay. So the 89th question basically deals with the Red Sea. All of you know the Red Sea is a significant place right now. There are a lot of conflicts in South Sudan, Israel, Syria, Lebanon, conflicts happening in and around the Red Sea. So Red Sea is very significant. You need to study all the countries surrounding the Red Sea. Okay, so what does the UPSC say? The first statement, the Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. Yeah, that might be true, right? Because the Red Sea receives very little precipitation. Now, very little is a very, can be less than 50 centimeters of rain, can be less than 10 centimeters of rain. Red Sea is a it's a very salt sea, right? Therefore, the Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form, can be taken as correct, because it might be receiving very little precipitation. The centimeter regarding the rainfall would have been very less. But what about the second one? No water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Now, how can UPSC say this? How can UPSC say that no water enters the Red Sea from any rivers? Okay, if you just Google it, you will find the name of several seasonal rivers. I'm telling you, they are not very significant rivers. They are not rivers such as Nile, Amazon, or even there doesn't have maybe 300 kilometers or 400 kilometers of rain. But then if you just Google it, you will find the names of several seasonal rivers such as, we have noted down, Ansaba, Fa, Damas, Baraka, Alligate. These are all seasonal rivers which actually flows into the Red Sea. So there are a lot of seasonal rivers which actually flows into the Red Sea. And what have UPSC provided here? No water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Now, how can UPSC say that? If UPSC have provided no water enters the Red Sea from significant rivers, or no significant river drains into Red Sea, that might be correct. But then how can UPSC say that not even a single drop of water comes from any rivers, wherein there are a lot of seasonal rivers in that? Therefore, this statement should have been incorrect, and only one should have been the answer. Now, what is the answer according to the official answer key? UPSC has given C, both 1 and 2 as the answer key, which definitely is wrong for the fact that seasonal rivers such as Baraka, Alligate, Damas, which I have already mentioned, flows into the Red Sea. So these are the 3 significant mistakes that UPSC have made and should not have been made. They should have verified this by giving such an extreme statement. So is everyone clear? Does anyone have any doubts? Now, we'll move on to some of the controversial questions, right? All of you are very interested. Even I individually are very, very keen, very interested to find out what the official answer key regarding the controversial questions as well. I hope all of you are interested in that as well. So let's look at let's look at the 4 most controversial questions in 2024 UPSC Prelims. Where is it? Right. Okay. Let's look at the first question. Now, The first one, this is not very controversial, okay, but then you might have a confusion regarding the first option, only the first option. So here UPSC have given Down-Dar. You all know Down-Dar, right? Down-Dar is in Madhya Pradesh. It's famous for the marble rocks and also the waterfall. And here they have given Malwa and they have given Narmada. Now, can UPSC say that Narmada doesn't significantly flow through Malwa, or even a single percentage of Narmada doesn't flow through Malwa? Can UPSC actually say that? Now this is a bit controversial part, but then if you actually carefully look at the map point of view, you will be able to find that Malwa is situated here. You have the Vindhyan hills and you have the Satpura hills. Therefore, Narmada basically flows through here and doesn't touch not even a single percentage through the Malwa plateau. Okay. Therefore, the Malwa given here is wrong. It should have been the Vindhyan range, or it should have been the Satpura range. But then several answer keys of the other academies have given the first statement as correct. But then the Civilsdaily's official answer key has said that only 2 and 3 is correct, which actually came on the official answer key as well. Now the second one, the 18th one. Where is 18th? Sorry, not the 18th. 34th one. Yeah, this is also a bit, I wouldn't say it's a more controversial question, but then most of the aspirants would have made it incorrect. So consider the following activities. Okay, it basically deals with radars, and UPSC have not provided any extreme words here. Okay, usually when UPSC want to make application question wrong, at least 1 or 2 options, they usually provide effectively, mainly, primarily. Usually UPSC uses such words. Okay, so here, in how many of the above activities can radars be used? So that basically means that radars doesn't need to be significantly used and can be used at least 1%, or even can be used. It's a very general word, right? So the second one is definitely correct. Monitoring of precipitation, radar is used. Tracking the migration of animals, radars are used. But what about the first one? Are radars used in the identification of narcotics on passengers at airports or in an aircraft? Now, we have all been to airports, right? How does the security, I mean the CASF, usually checks the narcotics or even the computers or even the laptops? How does the CASF, or what technology does the CASF usually uses to identify the narcotics or even any other, equipments or anything on our baggages? So what does usually use? Have you ever seen they using radars? Have you ever heard of them using radars in any airport in anywhere in the world? No. Radars, the basic purpose of radars is not to check the identification of narcotics, and is also 100% not used in the airports. Okay. Now what do they use? They basically uses X-ray baggage machines. Okay. They uses X-ray baggage machines. Therefore, the first statement is incorrect, as not even 1% of radars is used, and all the airports throughout India uses X-rays to basically identify the narcotics. Therefore, 34th one, 2 and 3, therefore only 2 is the right answer. Now dealing with the last question, the 17th one, that also is a bit controversial. It's the question regarding the Home Minister. Okay, now what does the question say? Yeah, so what does the question say? The Northeastern Council established by the Northeastern Council was established by the Northeastern Council Act in 1971. As all of you know, it is not part of the States Council, Interstate Council. Subsequent to the amendment of NEC, I mean the Northeastern Council Act, in 2002, the council comprises which of the following members? So what does UPSC mention here? It doesn't say which are, like, who are the current present members. Okay, UPSC here doesn't want us to identify the current members. Okay, does UPSC want to identify the current or the present members? No. What does UPSC ask you? Subsequent to the Amendment Act of 2002, the council comprises of which of the following members? You all know that currently the Home Minister of India is the chairman of Northeastern Council. Okay, we all know that. But then when did it come? It came very recently, right? Very recently only, the body head by Prime Minister made the Union Home Minister Amit Shah as the chairman of the Northeastern Council. But was that in the case during 2002 or 2004? No. So therefore, the Union Home Minister, even though he is the current chairman of the Northeastern Council, the Act doesn't mention the name of Union Home Minister. Okay, the Act basically doesn't mention the name of Union Home Minister, and any minister according to the Act can be made the chairman of the Northeastern Council. Okay, clear? Currently, the Union Home Minister is the chairperson of the Northeastern Council, but then the Northeastern Council Act doesn't say that the Union Home Minister should be the chairperson. Okay, the Act basically says that the President can nominate 3 cabinet ministers and maybe one of them can be the Home Minister. But then the Act doesn't explicitly mention the name of the Union Home Minister. That's why option 4 is wrong. But is the Home Minister currently part of the Northeastern Council? Definitely, he is the chairperson. But according to the Act, there is no explicit mention regarding the Home Minister. Therefore, the answer key and also the official answer key is A, which is the correct one. 1, 2, 3 only is the correct one. Okay, so we have discussed the drop questions, we have discussed the incorrect ones, and also we have discussed the some of the controversial questions, right? Now, the Civilsdaily answer key has been correct almost 98%. Okay, so that's how accurate the Civilsdaily answer key is. But in only 2 questions, the answer key was wrong. I'll also explain why it went wrong. Okay. Yeah. So first we'll go to the 49th question. Yeah. So this one, most of you have made it incorrect. Okay. I mean, I have talked to a lot of students and they have taken this as 2 only. But then according to official UPSC answer key, the answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Okay, the official UPSC answer key is neither 1 nor 2. The official UPSC answer key is neither 1 nor 2. So what does the question say? With reference to the rules imposed by the Reserve Bank of India while treating foreign banks, consider the following statements. Now, the first one is a pretty simple statement. All of us know that, right? There is no minimum capital requirement for wholly owned banking subsidiaries. It would be very incorrect, right? Even a scheduled commercial bank has a minimum capital that should be there. I guess it's 50 crores or something. In case of wholly owned foreign banks, the minimum capital requirement is actually 500 crores. So therefore, we can easily eliminate the first option. But then, what about the second one? The second one basically says, for wholly owned banking subsidiaries in India, at least 50% of the board members should be Indian nationals. So what is the keyword here? The keyword here is should be. Okay. Now, what is the RBI guidelines regarding the same? It doesn't say that it should be Indian nationals. Rather, the guidelines say that it can be Indian nationals and it can also be person of Indian origins. Okay. So it doesn't need to be the Indian nationals. Rather, it can also be the person of Indian origins. So this is the only question wherein our answer key has gone wrong or wrong. And rest of the questions, our answer key has been true to the UPSC official answer key. Okay, so this is because it should not be Indian nationals, rather it can be Indian nationals and also it can be persons of Indian origin. Since UPSC have used the word should here, this is incorrect as it can be persons of Indian origin as well. Okay. Okay, so that was it. So we have discussed all the questions, controversial questions, and wherein our academy has gone wrong. We have only gone wrong in one question. The rest, most of the questions have been correct as well. So, Saket sir, would you like to conclude? Yeah.
Yeah, Srijay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so as Srijay also mentioned that about our answer keys reference, right? Praveen, can you help me with the file? Okay. So any questions so far? Do we have any questions so far with the analysis part? How do you feel? Meanwhile, we open the document for you with respect to the answer keys. Shiji, you can come this side.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So questions? Yes, they should ideally BPSC aspirant. They should do that. Yeah, I think this document. This was a document we were talking about,
Yeah.
correct? Right. So here the accuracy has been 98%. This is what you wanted
No, the
to
other.
highlight. Okay. Praveen, just open that one, the first one.
No, the other one. The controversial questions.
Yeah. So here, yeah. So here the accuracy has been 98%.
Yeah. Yes.
The only question we went wrong was on the US one.
49th question.
This one, correct?
This can be correct. We cannot actually say that this is
No,
incorrect.
but through keys, I think this was wrong.
Yeah.
And Red Sea is eliminated by UPSC itself. UPSC has done
Yes,
a blunder there
Yes,
itself.
sir, definitely.
Right? So the 98% accuracy remains with respect to this.
Definitely.
And our pre-analysis was the best.
Onto the market.
Yeah, it was on to the point. And that is how our keys are the most accurate and probably the most reliable one. And that is what we wanted to establish with respect to giving you the answer keys also, and also telling you more about where UPSC has also gone wrong. Now, I also want to establish this document. Praveen, the mail part. Could you open micro themes for me? So there are a lot of aspirants who are giving in 2025, right? And not this one, micro theme.
I guess that's the micro theme, sir. The second one. This one.
No, I think these are dominant notes.
Flash
We'll
notes.
come to this. We'll come to this.
Okay.
But I think the micro theme PDF is there. This one. Yes. So you can see that for the last days, what's the most important thing that as aspirants you should be doing is to cover these micro themes. So the y-axis would represent the micro theme, and the x-axis shows that how frequently they have appeared in the exam. So the idea is very simple. You pick up a subject, you identify the micro theme, and see the highest number of questions, and make that as your top priority. I mean, this is how you revise at the final day of your UPSC preparation days. So anything which is not a part of well-established micro theme, it's not important at this point of time. Prelims is what, 3-4 days away now, right?
Yes.
So I mean, these are the micro themes that you can get from our Telegram channel, our website. It's there everywhere. Just get a hang of it and read it, see the repetition of topics, and prepare accordingly. That's the final thing you should be doing at this point of time.
Exactly.
Right? Also, the dominant notes that were there. So if you want, we can also give you, depending on how much bandwidth you have with you at this point of time. Uh, so on basis of these micro theme notes,
Yes, sir.
on basis of these micro themes, we have also created the notes.
Notes.
Right? So for instance, river being a very important micro theme, right? So we have ensured that you would see the distribution of rivers accordingly. And we have also incorporated super maps pretty well. So
Yes.
you don't need to refer to a lot of maps.
Yes.
This has been uniquely created by Civilsdaily's team, and I think this is the best source to
Definitely.
recall. You keep looking at it, revise this on a daily basis, paste it on your wall,
Yes.
and this would ensure that you are able to recall
Yep.
it correctly right before the exam.
And reverse is one area that all of you should focus. UPSC in 2024 have asked 19 questions from Indian geography, and out of that, the reverse at least 2 to 3 questions came. So you need to look into this document and mostly focus on the Himalayan and the Peninsular rivers as well.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
if you see Ganga super map, also you would see Gangotri, Prayagraj, Farakka, Sundarbans,
Yes.
how it flows, right? So it has been very, very distinctively clear. If you see Indus also later on, you would see that, and of course it has come. We have mapped this according to PYQs. So this is what you have to do. PYQs, we have done your job. PYQs, we have identified micro themes. We have also given you the notes.
We have also provided the data. You just
Right.
need to do is revise all the micro themes on the last few days of before prelims.
Yes, and if you can't go through these notes, because I'm sure you would have your own notes, and I don't want you to really look towards a new note. At least look at the micro theme and revise in the last few days. Right? So this is what you have to do in the last few days. Keep your revision absolutely light. Do try to fix your sleep schedule also, because it's very important. You need to have a sleep schedule which is according to the exam. If you haven't, please do that. Avoid eating junk food, eat clean food, eat vegetables, eat fruits,
Sleep well. Yeah.
sleep
You
well,
need to sleep
and
well.
stay away from the noise, stay away from panic, trust your sources, have belief in yourself. You'll be able to clear this exam. Right? So thank you so much, students, for listening to us. If you want the access of these micro themes, you can just visit anywhere on our website, Telegram, you will find it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining.